What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Taking Command with Josh Taylor. That's right. I am back in the Washington content community. I'm excited to be sharing my passion and thoughts and opinions once again with you guys of this team that we just love and hate sometimes. But if you are a returning support person, or if you're new to the channel, you've never seen me or listened to anything I've done before, just a quick background about myself. I started Washington content when I did my first podcast about 3 years ago. I kind of just went to training camp and I was like, man, I love this team. I want to talk about it more. And, podcasts were kind of a thing back then. So I started the Burgundy Breakdown podcast, did that for about a year and a half. And then I transitioned and rebranded to the Burgundy Network podcast and built that up. Put a lot of effort and work into that, but I had a great time. It felt good just, putting my passion into something. Like I said, built that up. Actually got brought onto with a network, the Belief Podcast Network. Had a great time. Just was doing a lot of stuff with it. Going to training camp, going to these games as a season ticket holder. Had to miss a couple games with my real job, but still just being plugged in and doing interviews and stuff like that. Just putting a lot into it. But I had to take a step back. I felt like I was burnt out as a fan. I just wasn't enjoying the games and stuff anymore. I just wasn't enjoying the actual fan part of it anymore. I just felt like it was getting too political, too, fan controlling. I just wanted to take a step back and just be myself again and be a fan. I think to me, that's the most important. I'm a lifelong fan living here in Central Virginia. I've been around this team my entire life, from my family as, a little kid going to games and training camp and stuff like that. Just these events with my dad and some other family members. But I just need to take a step back, refresh, and kind of just, refocus myself. And, I started doing the Draft Takeover podcast, which I do right now as well with the Takeover Sports Network. So you can check that out as well, because we're killing it over there. But, the draft is my passion, but football in general is my passion, whether it's talking about guys entering the league in the draft, or if it's talking about this Washington team, which I love sometimes, and sometimes it's the biggest headache with all the stuff that we put up with. Going through a lot of changes. This was probably the hardest time as a Washington fan by far, by any of us, regardless of on the field stuff, just off the field stuff that we put up with as fans. But we have to stick together. And I started writing for Rigo's Rag. I'm starting to do that. I still do that right now, so check them out as well. Got an awesome team of writers over there on Rigo's Rag. But I got that passion back, just being able to write and express how I felt about certain things, my thoughts, my view, my perspective on certain events going on with the team. So I said, what the heck? I'm sure just about every single one of y'all know my boy Rio Robinson, with Ramblin' with Rio on his podcast and his YouTube channel. Just talking with him and seeing him grind out and stuff like that, and just being around these good guys. Other guys outside of Rio, but for me, he was the guy that really pushed me to get back into this without him even knowing it. Just seeing the work he does and everything he put into it and the love for it. And for me, that's what it was. Like, I want this to be my future. I want this to be what I do forever. And as long as I can, as long as, I'm blessed with that opportunity. So for me, I'm excited to get back into this and grind this thing out and just bring y'all the best content I can. I mean, there's so many good guys out there. Tay and Todd's one of my favorite guys. I learned so much from them. Like I said, with Rio, Bleeding Burgundy, there's just so many guys out there. So I'm just excited to be another channel with a different perspective, different background, and just a different view. I was in Scouting Academy studying that as well, just getting as much information and learning as much about this game that I love, with the passion. So just want to give you a little bit of background, but guys, like I said, on this episode, I'm going to be talking about the draft blueprint for Washington. And I said defense. Let me narrow it in a little bit more. The defensive scheme blueprint. And what I mean by that is, yes, we might, take some defensive linemen in depth later on in the draft. Maybe we add a corner or so. But for me, it was really looking at the tendencies and the impact plays from last year with Washington, especially with the departure of Landon Collins. Now, he might be coming back, who knows? But still, I wanted to take a look at the tapes for Washington and the schemes and just really dive deep into it and, see, like, what does this team look like without Landon Collins in that role next year? And I want to take a look at that. So, guys, on this episode, I'm going to talk about 4 guys in this draft that Washington has shown a lot of interest in, with visits and talks, and especially with me talking to these prospects at certain events like the Senior Bowl. I've heard that they have had talks with Washington. So there's definitely some interest in these 4 guys, but I'm also going to take a look at the tapes for Washington and put it all together and say, look, this is what this team can look like with these guys in the draft. So kick back, enjoy, of course, like and subscribe this channel, and let's get to it, guys, because we are Washington and we are taking command. So the offseason for Washington hasn't been too crazy. Obviously, adding Carson Wentz. But the key thing for me is losing guys like Tim Settle, but then also Landon Collins, who, believe it or not, was a huge role in this defense, whether it was when he was hurt, it kind of changed a lot of things with what Cam Kerr was doing, but then also when he was healthy, what his role was. And I know people are sick and tired of hearing this Buffalo nickel and money backer and position flex and versatility and stuff like that. I get it. But it is absolutely a need and a trend in the NFL these days. You're not really, even though Washington's base defense is 4-3, we only ran the 4-3 about 7% last year with 3 linebackers on the field. That's not much at all. You were seeing a lot of 2 linebackers on the field or 3 safeties with big nickel, big dime, stuff like that, or just regular nickel, because it is a passing league. And people have been able to kind of look at defenses with 3 linebackers and like, hey, we're going to expose you. We have these athletic tight ends. We have these 4 wide receiver sets. We're going to expose your big, slow linebackers and just throw the ball all over you. So that's why you're seeing a lot less of the traditional 4-3, unless you just have this freak athlete at linebacker, unless you have a Fred Warner or a Darius Leonard or something like that, then it puts a lot of stress on your defense. You have to be able to keep up in the passing game. So I look at Washington, like I said, with Landon Collins, his role being that Buffalo nickel, being that big safety. And people just think that he just kind of transitioned to the linebacker role. And he really didn't. Yeah, he would line up in the box sometimes. He would line up along the line of scrimmage and kind of be around that area that a linebacker is. And like you'll hear terms that I'll talk about, like money backer or super safety is another one that you hear a lot of. But it's something that Ron Rivera's talked a lot about in this offseason, and rightfully so. Now, John Keim has come out and he's been very vocal and said there's absolutely a chance that Landon Collins could come back. Obviously, they would have to talk about contracts and stuff like that because it wasn't realistic for him to expect the kind of money he had. Now, of course, you look at these guys that play kind of a similar role, like Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, or a Budda Baker. Those are 2 big name safeties in the league these days. Of course, Tyrann Mathieu right now looking for his deal. He's going to get paid. Budda Baker is one of the best in the NFL. For me, Landon Collins, just obviously like a tier or 2 below those 2 guys. And for me, it was just kind of like, if they don't bring them back, if they go the route of drafting someone in the draft, I think it'd be a big upgrade. So I've pulled about 4 guys that I want to talk about in this episode that I think Washington absolutely has interest in, and they've showed interest with their visits. And I've confirmed a couple, talks with these guys along the offseason, whether it was at the Senior Bowl, the Combine, Pro Days, stuff like that. But I really wanted y'all to see what I watched and saw on tapes with Washington's defense this year. Because it like I said, it's not just Washington, though. People think this is just a Washington thing. It's not. This is something that the Cardinals started back in 2015 with Deion Buchanan. That money backer role of just having this athletic safety who can play kind of like a linebacker and safety role at the same time. You need a guy that can blitz. You need a guy that's not afraid to stop the run, lower shoulder, take some hits, be able to navigate through traffic. But then you also need a guy who can keep up with these athletic tight ends like Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and even wide receivers, whether it's in a slot, whether it's, like I said, there's 4 wide receiver sets in the NFL. You have to have someone that can keep up with that. And not many linebackers can, because they're 225, 230, somewhere around that range. And you have some safeties, 215, 220 as well. But still, it's just a different build. Like I said, most linebackers, you can see them up to like 245, 250. So it's just asking too much for these linebackers to drop into coverage like that. Unless you find, like I said, this diamond in the rough, like a Fred Warner, then you just have to really look at this position and how you're going to defend the pass, because this is a passing league, as we know. So let's just take a look a little bit at what Washington really did. And honestly, it surprised me how much. So I looked at some key plays in the season. This one, a lot of people are going to remember when we played the Chiefs. I was at that game. Super exciting. except for the second half. First half was like all-time high as a fan, honestly. It was as good as it gets, beating the Pat Mahomes, the Chiefs. He was looking terrible at the time. But really, let's just take a look at the scheme. So I kind of laid it out. And this is all 22 film from Game Pass, which is terrible, by the way. Absolutely hate Game Pass. There's so much more they could do to it. But you got to get the film that you can here. So this is how I looked at it right here. So they're playing nickel, just traditional nickel. You got William Jackson III, and you got Fuller here in the slot. Then you take a look at your linebackers. You have Cole Holcomb and you have Khalil Hudson. Hudson actually played a good bit of snaps last year. And he's someone I want to talk about real quick. I'm going to pause. Khalil Hudson, drafted 2 years ago, like the 5th round. He played that Viper role, which you'll hear a lot about when you look at Khalil Hudson at Michigan. Being able to cover, being fast, sideline to sideline guy, but still being able to lay a hit, play special teams. So he played a decent amount of this Buffalo nickel role for Washington, but also just played some good, decent snaps at linebacker as well when Jamin Davis wasn't on the field. And don't worry, I'm going to talk about Jamin Davis as well because he's a big part of this. Then you have St. Juste on the outside, Cam Curl up top, and Bobby McCain joining him at safety. Now, as you remember, this was one of the best plays of the Chiefs game when Pat Mahomes throws the interception off of Tyreek Hill's hands. But still, first off, this is really good defense and coverage by Kendall Fuller here in the slot. Watch how this progresses. Gets off his man once he sees the ball's throwing, puts himself in a position. Obviously, Tyreek Hill needs to catch that with his hands, but still, Kendall Fuller being in that spot. Another game here. Tampa Bay. Sadly, I wasn't at this one. I really wish I was. I'm sure this one was hype in person. But just another look at the kind of defense that Washington had. Now, look at this. This is a 5-2 defense, something Washington does a good bit as well. You've got 5 D linemen, 2 linebackers, and then you have your 2 safeties and 2 corners. Now, of course, once again, you see Cam Curl there. This is what I'm talking about with that moneybacker role, that athletic guy who can line up in that linebacker spot. But look, he's got a wide receiver in the slot. He can keep up with him. He can cover this guy. That's something, once again, that Cam Curl did a good bit of. Landon Collins did it. Cam Curl did it. And I mean, and the thing is, like I said, when Landon Collins was hurt, they had to move Cam Curl up to strong safety pretty much full time. Looked good there. Great in coverage. Obviously, Cam Curl is one of those 7-round hits that just never happen. And I'm so glad we have Cam Curl. But once again, just watch how the play develops. You have 5 on the line, so they're going to get good pressure on Tom Brady. Smart, first off, by Del Rio, because Tom Brady hates pressure. Ask the Saints. It's how they always beat him. But once again, full on the outside with William Jackson on the other side of the field at corner. Collins, McCain's your 2 safeties. And then you have, of course, Cam Curl and Holcomb as your 2 linebackers. Another memorable play on defense. I really wanted to find these highlight plays on defense when big things were happening. And this is just another one here. And just watch how this one develops. They're bringing the pressure, getting to Tom Brady quick. Throws it behind Mike Evans, and it goes right to Bobby McCain. And like I said, these kind of defenses, these kind of schemes, first off, like I said, once again, great call by Del Rio, getting pressure on Tom Brady. But it's just showing you how they lined up. Now, here we are, finally. We have Jamin Davis on the field. I know. Something that we need more of. And I'm going to talk about how I know Jamin Davis did play too well last year. I get it. I agree with you. But he is such a big part of the plans moving forward. Now, here we have 3 safeties, 2 linebackers, 2 corners. So this is the big nickel. Because you have 4 linemen. You have William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller's your 2 corners on the outside. Then you have your 3 linebackers. Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb, and Landon Collins is your linebacker. Once again, your money backer, whatever you want to call it, super safety. There's so many terms for it. You can call it whatever you want. And then Cam Curl and McCain, again, something else to keep an eye on is McCain and Curl flip sides of the field. It just depends on where the help is on some cases. And then also most times McCain would drop back and single high, and then Curl would kind of loom around this way. It just depends on if it's zone or man. But still, once again, Jamin Davis is on the field. Cole Holcomb. This is what you're seeing more of. You're seeing more of if Jamin Davis can be that linebacker, which they need him to be, which is why I believe they took this pick, because they know the way that the NFL is going with this money backer spot and, playing big nickel, playing big dime, having 2 linebackers on the field. so many times last year, whether it was Holcomb and Davis or Holcomb and Collins or Holcomb and Curl. Holcomb played a ton, by the way. For a fifth round guy, I was overly satisfied with how he played. And then Khalid Hudson had some reps as well. But this is just the way that Washington is going with the defense. Two linebackers on the field, whether it's an actual linebacker or it's Cam Curl or it's Landon Collins. So once again, just keep in mind, what do these plays look like without Landon Collins on the field? Who takes over these spots? Curl. But then who takes over Curl's spot? Who knows? Maybe you put Khalid Hudson in Collins' role. I could see some of it because he is that coverage guy. But how much are you really going to ask of a fifth-round linebacker to be able to do that? Maybe you play more nickel when you have three corners on the field because St. Juice is physical. But so this is what I really want to look at, is how the draft can influence what they do next year, regardless of Landon Collins comes back or not. If Collins does come back, awesome, kind of fills that role. That tells me we didn't try to upgrade in the draft with the guys I will talk about later, with Kyle Hamilton, Jaquan Brisker, Daxton Hill out of Michigan, and then Jalen Petrie out of Baylor. So just something to keep an eye on is how Washington played in these big game-changing drives. They're making interceptions. They're getting pressure on Tom Brady, how things are lining up. Now, they rolled this not an interception by Kendall Fuller, but still. Go back a little bit and rewatch that one more time. It's a coverage league. It is a passing league. You have to be able to cover guys. This one, I didn't label it out, but I will show y'all. Starting on the left, you have Landon Collins. Then you have Cole Holcomb in the middle, and then you have Cam Curl on the outside there. This was the Cole Holcomb interception on Dak Prescott. So I'll show you that. And once again, you have 5 D linemen up front, 5-2, and then you have those 2 safeties, and you have Cole Holcomb as your single linebacker on the field. Almost a absolute game-changing play. Took me by surprise. Cole Holcomb just taking it to the crib. It's putting your defense in a spot to where you can get pressure on the quarterback. You have 5 D linemen. So if they do run the ball, you have 5 D linemen there. You still have plenty of people in the box, but you're dropping guys back in coverage or someone's blitzing. So there's just a lot you can do with the big nickel, big dime, and even the 5-2 defense. So for me, that's just what I saw on tape with Washington. Now, like I said, if Landon Collins doesn't come back, what does that look like? Who fills that role? And I do believe it is such a big hole. People are saying, I think linebacker is more of the bigger hole. I don't think it is. I think they are really comfortable with rolling with Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb for majority of the snaps, and you can sub in a guy like Khalid Hudson, or you'll sub in that moneybacker or that Buffalo guy to take over. I don't see them drafting a linebacker. And honestly, I don't know if they'll draft a guy at all unless it's like a depth, or unless they think that someone could replace Cole Holcomb down the line. I mean, he's a 5th round guy. Are you going to pay him? What do you do with that? But still, like, it's just, for me, unless you think you can get more athletic than Cole Holcomb, I think he was much better in coverage last year. I think he improved greatly from the year before. So honestly, I just think they are comfortable with going with Jamin Davis and working towards improving his game, getting him comfortable, and just getting to what we expected to see out of Jamin Davis. Because if you get that, it makes his defense so much better, because you will see 2 linebackers on the field at majority of the time. And then say Cole Holcomb, doesn't come back to the team 2 years from now, whatever his contract is. And then you have Jamin Davis as that single linebacker on the field with a guy like Kyle Hamilton or Jaquan Brisker or Jalen Petrie. And Jamin Davis is playing at his potential. That is a dangerous defense. Not even just talking about what the defensive line looks like, not even talking about what, the secondary can look like with your corners and safeties. And that's another thing, is people are forgetting how much better the safety spot gets when you draft a guy like Kyle Hamilton, Jalen Petrie, Brisker, or Daxton Hill, because there's so many different spots they can play. They can play the slot. They can play up at the line as this Buffalo or moneybacker or super safety. They can play at free safety and 2 safety looks if you want him to be in coverage. There's just so much you can do with these guys. So let's take a look at it, because Washington is showing interest in all these guys. So yes, Kyle Hamilton is the best safety in this class. And the fact that people wouldn't even want Kyle Hamilton at 11 as a Washington fan concerns me. Now, of course, me and Rio talked about Kyle Hamilton. We talked about Chris Olave as well. But man, Kyle Hamilton, the things that he does, if you just watch the tapes, he improved drastically in 2021. For me, he was the best defensive player at the beginning of this season. I talked about it on my college football podcast. I said Kyle Hamilton is who I'm picking over Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, this is before Aiden Hutchinson popped out, before Trevon Walker, all these other guys. But still, for me, if you're talking secondary, if you're not talking edge rushing guys, Kyle Hamilton is the clear-cut guy. He is a mile above Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, not only just in how they play, but the value that Kyle Hamilton brings. Now, like I said, I don't think he's going to land in Washington at 11. I think the Jets are very interested in him. The Giants are huge players in them, which honestly concerns the heck out of me. Atlanta, who knows what the Lions do? I mean, the fact that Kyle Hamilton has been discredited so much this offseason shocks me so much because the dude's a beast. So I want to put on the tapes, walk y'all through a couple things that these guys really provide, but then also keep in mind what I just showed you with schemes and how people are lined up with Cam Curl, Landon Collins, these linebackers. And just remember, another little side note, imagine what Kyle Hamilton looks like on a pro team full of good defensive players. You know, in college, you could be the highlight guy. Not saying that Notre Dame's defense sucked. I think they had a pretty good defensive line, good linebacker core, good secondary. But just imagine adding a Kyle Hamilton with a Jamin Davis, with a William Jackson III, with a Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, so on. Just imagine how much better that he would get. Not just Kyle Hamilton, but these other guys I'm going to show you in these clips. So for me, just keep that in mind because just people don't realize the impact that these guys would have on defense. I know pick 11, the trendy pick is wide receiver. I get it. We need a wide receiver. I fully agree with you. But if Kyle Hamilton's there at 11, I think Washington clearly takes him, and it's because of plays like these. Now, this is just the first view, live game. You'll see a better view, but Kyle Hamilton showing his range against Florida State. He had 2 interceptions, and they were both gorgeous, and they were both on that sideline, just showing his range. You see him there, number 14, close to the right side logo of the ACC. He's following one guy, sees the ball go through there. He's right with him. He pretty much runs the route for him, cuts it off, gets the interception, not only gets 1 foot down, gets 2 feet down like he's in the pros. He's ready. Like he is ready to be drafted already. These kind of plays, how many times did Washington drop interceptions last year with Bobby McCain? I hate to be the guy. I showed you the good tapes, but there's some bad tapes too. Imagine what Kyle Hamilton can do. His hands, 2021 was his best turnover tape. Like that's something people want to see more of. Like, yeah, he's all over the place. You know, he tackles, great IQ, but we want more turnovers. And he said, all right, got you. And that's what he did in 2021. Like I said, this Florida State game was probably his best game of the season. Boom. Sideline to sideline. There's a reason why they're saying this guy is the best safety prospect. And I hate to say it, but I agree. Since Sean Taylor. Now they did the little arrow for you. I'll do it. I'll show you to you once again. Just showing the range that Kyle Hamilton plays with. All the way over here on this other side of the field. Cuts all the way across the field. Sees that this guy, his corner gets burnt. If Kyle Hamilton doesn't come over there, look how wide open that touchdown is. Like, the dude, he's 5 yards from the defender. If Kyle Hamilton doesn't come across the field, that is a walk-in touchdown. Maybe the guy on the other side of the field cuts him off. Who knows? But still, it goes from a touchdown for Florida State to an interception for Notre Dame. Boom. And that's a hard catch. He hit it right in stride. Being able to catch it like that, sure-handed guy, right in there, man. I mean, Zero didn't even see him coming from Florida State. Like, he was like, oh, I've got this. Thank you. Like, my mom's in the stands. I'm about to score. I'm about to take this to the crib. No. And then this one, big-time play. He doesn't get the interception, but he fights the hands, bounces up in the air, and it's another interception for Notre Dame. Number 6, his corner. But watch, you see him reading the play. You see him in the middle of the field there, right where the umpire is, the referee in the middle of the field. He's reading this play. He's seeing the quarterback's eyes, seeing where the action's going. He knows 9 looks like for Florida State, where Kyle Hamilton is right now, where the ball's going. Looks like he was going to block that guy from Notre Dame, and then he just kind of goes out behind him. He's like, I got to get this catch. Kyle Hamilton's all over him, fights him. Another interception for Notre Dame. Even though it's not him, he is a huge reason in that play. Slightly thrown behind him. I'll agree. It wasn't the best throw in the world, but Kyle Hamilton just put the heat on him. Now, we're here at the Cincinnati game. Yes, Notre Dame lost this game, but for me, it was just, once again, great tape that I saw by Kyle Hamilton. Here he comes from all the way up top, not afraid to lay the hammer down, and he's quick in the action. That's what I like to see. Quick. He reads, reacts. Once again, you see him up top here at the 25. Backpedals, goes into coverage. Boom. Attack. Like a missile. He doesn't sit there and wait, let the play come to him. He gets to the action. Now, this is where I start pointing him out, because if you know, watching tape and finding your guy's tough. Kyle Hamilton has like a stance that he always plays in, though. Like, I can always watch tapes and just see how he stands. Like, see how he's just so much taller than the other guys on the field. His arms are crazy long. He just stands out to me on tapes, but still for other people. Now, this play, he doesn't do anything crazy, like a turnover or anything. For me, it's more of the pre-snap stuff that I saw from Kyle Hamilton. Watch this. See, he's about 5 yards off the wide receiver in the slot here. But watch what happens as soon as the outside wide receiver for Cincinnati moves. He reacts, and he communicates to his outside corner. Wide receiver moves. Boom, look. He gets up close. He's pressing his wide receiver. Now, terrible throw by Ritter, by the way. Still, just his instincts to be able to lead on the field. He sees something. He doesn't like something. He adjusts to it. He points it out to his other guy and says, look, hey, adjust. Like, get to it. They're changing it up. You see him once again here in the slot. And you'll see there's another tape coming up. He's deep. He's playing deep. He's playing at the line of scrimmage. He's playing blitz. Just like this. Brings pressure. Tall, athletic, just baller. Gets in Ritter's face. Probably could have intercepted it. But he looks like he's going to stay in coverage here. Reading the quarterback. Knows where he's going. Read and react. You can't just teach that. He is just a certified baller. Here he is at the top of the screen. Once again, that same spot. Goes back into coverage. Boom. It was 1st and 15. 1st and 5 now. Now watch this. Very next play. He goes from playing close to the line of scrimmage up there in that like slot roll. He says, all right, I'm going back here to the free safety spot. Once again, nothing crazy happens, but just shows you how versatile Kyle Hamilton is. Now look at him. Boom. Back in the safety spot. He's a little banged up after that tackle. Probably his arm. His arm probably lost some feeling in it in that one. But now look at him. He was just lined up over there. The very next play, they move him out here to the free safety spot. Back into dropping into coverage. You just have to think about the possibilities that really come with Kyle Hamilton. And this one, I like this one. I like guys who can navigate through traffic, find a way to get to the action, get to the ball. Watch him. He's on this other side of the field here. Fights through the traffic, gets to the ball carrier. He's the one that really just lays the hammer, gets him out of bounds. That's what I like. That effort from Kyle Hamilton. Now, once again, like I said, him getting to 11 is very unlikely. There's a lot of guys in that top 11 that are going to get him. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the people on Twitter. Kyle Hamilton is much higher than you think. Now, someone there's a good chance he could be in that late first, maybe early second role, is a guy I really like as well. And that is Daxton Hill. Let me run this one back. Out of Michigan, another one of these weapons. Just played so many spots. Daxton Hill was a violent tackler. For me, he was one of the only guys that can really play that free, single high safety role. I mean, look at that. Just quick to the action, reacting. And here he is against Wisconsin. Boom. Just take off. Lay the quarterback out. Good gosh. I mean, no one's blocking him, but look how fast he is. That straight line speed. He's quick. Him and Jalen Petrie are probably the quickest safeties that I'm talking to y'all about. I'll say safeties, but once again, these defensive weapon guys. Now here he is. reacting, coverage skills. That's what you need. You need a guy who can come up, get to the quarterback quick, blitz, but also drop into coverage. Love it. Absolutely love it. You want interceptions? He's got interceptions. That snatch ability, I talk about it with wide receivers. Being able to get up and get the ball, that catch radius. Watch him just pluck it out of the air. That's what they call it, the pluck. He's reading the quarterback's eyes, see where he's going, boom. Kind of sits down, kind of baits him a little bit. He looks like he's going to bite more down towards the line, but then he just, because the quarterback's like, I can throw it behind him, but he doesn't. So Daxton Hill, another one of these guys who I think I have him going late first. Maybe the Chiefs get him. The Cowboys would love a safety like him. It's just a lot to tell from. The Bengals would love, once again, a safety like him. But for me, if he slips there to that 49 spot, which I don't know, I don't think it could happen. Maybe if we trade back scenario in the first round or pick up another early second, something like that. Daxton Hill's another guy that can come in. For me, like I said, he's the only one out of these I would feel comfortable playing single high safety. For me, that's one thing. Kyle Hamilton, I think he can do it. I just don't want him to do it. I'm not going to put limitations on him, but I also don't want him to be stuck in that spot. Now, this is one of my favorite guys coming up here, Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. I love watching this guy's film. I watched the Auburn game with him, and he popped so much. There's so many big-time plays for this guy. This one here, I mean, big touchdown-saving drive, just dropping into coverage, getting in the way of the wide receiver. Top play. This one I liked a lot. This is where he just shows his missile ability. Boom. Fights off that block. I want you to watch this one again because I'm a big Brisker fan. I think he reminds me a lot of Landon Collins. I think he's a little bit better, obviously younger, healthier version of Landon Collins. But just watch this. Look up top here. The wide receiver's blocking him there. All right. Or like a tight end, fullback-esque guy for Auburn, 47. Takes him out of the play. You're like, all right, wide receiver. I just got this one guy, 12, Brandon Smith. Shout out to Brandon Smith. Went to my high school. Another good linebacker in this draft. But that he fights off that block, still gets to him to make the stop, gets the tackle. And he knows he's a bad dude. Jaquan Brisker knows he's a bad dude. Now, you see him here backed up a little bit more. The very right of your screen at the end of the Big Ten logo. Just showing more of him not at the line of scrimmage. One guy misses, two guy misses. Jaquan Brisker just comes out of nowhere and he does not miss. He is a guy who's very physical. He's going to get to the ball. And that's what I like with these guys. Once again, this is what you need. Here he is, fighting through traffic, kind of like that Kyle Hamilton play. He didn't get there, but just shows the urgency and ability to get through all that. That's what I want. I don't want these long runs getting broken, even though it's a passing league. People are still running the ball. Being able to get there, the hustle is what really just pops on tape. Love this play. Fourth quarter, close game, 3rd and goal. Quick pass to the tight end. Fighting through it. They ripped the ball out. Jaquan Brisker, and there's another safety over there, or corner. Fighting, just being able to just stuff him right in his spot. Holding him back. I mean, you'll see he's just literally dragging this dude. And number 9 helps him rip the ball out. Loved the effort against Auburn. But my favorite play, 3 seconds left in the game. You can't see it at the bottom, but Auburn's literally just down a touchdown. I think it's 28-20. Jaquan Brisker, game-saving play. He doesn't get the interception. But there's a chance on this one for Auburn. There's a chance. Like, he's open in the seam. And Brisker just cuts it off perfectly. I don't care if he didn't intercept it. Obviously, that would have been nice. It's the final play of the game. Hostile crowd. I mean, the Penn State whiteout game is nuts. Big game. I mean, this had so much. You're playing a top SEC team at the time. There's a lot to it. This was a crazy game to watch. I loved watching this game live. Loved watching this game. I'm dying to get to a Penn State game. But just once again, being that guy to end the game. Whenever it seems like every time there's a big play, Penn State has a ton of dudes on defense going to the league this year. Probably like what, 5? On just on defense going to the league this year. But Jaquan Brisker was the one guy that popped out so much. Every time there's a big play, I'm like, all right, where's Brisker? Because I know he was in it. And then sure enough, he's the guy that was there. So Brisker winning the game against Auburn, not winning, but saving the game against Auburn. That's a bad dude. Great story, by the way. Humble dude. Visited with Washington, had multiple conversations with Washington. If he's not taken, I think Jaguars, Lions right before us in that second round. If he's not taken the last pick in the first round by the Lions, I think he could be taken right there. But right before us, which would hurt so bad. Because I think this guy would be awesome in Washington. Once again, I say if Washington can upgrade Landon Collins, I don't think they bring him back. I don't think there's a reunion. If they miss on a guy like Brisker, Hamilton, Daxton Hill, then I think there's a chance they bring back Landon. But this guy could really fill that hole at safety, at moneybacker, at in the line, blitzing packages. It doesn't matter. Jaquan Brisker will hit you, and he will hit you hard, and you can put him anywhere. Once again, just like Kyle Hamilton, I think he can play single high, and Draft Network has him listed as a free safety. I think he's a safety that can play in a lot of areas, and you want to utilize that. But for me, it seemed like he played a lot better when the action was in front of him, not dropping back into coverage. Hips a little tight sometimes when he's dropping back. But for me, I just think there's so much you can do with Jaquan Brisker. If you have Cam Curl and you have Bobby McCain back there, you can still put Brisker in the back sometimes. Sub Cam Curl into the Buffalo spot. Take out Bobby McCain sometimes. You got Brisker and Curl in the back. That's a dangerous combo. I'm telling you. That would be insane to have those two guys back there. So I love his tapes. But another guy, one of my favorite guys I talked to at the Senior Bowl, he said he molds his game after the Honey Badger and Buda Baker, and he wants to be that kind of player. For me, it's Jalen Petrie out of Baylor. Baylor's defense was David Aranda's defense. Love Baylor's defense. Once again, a ton of dudes going to the league. JT Woods is another one I love watching. But every time I watch this game, Baylor versus Oklahoma State, Big 12 championship, I want guys to show up. And Jalen Petrie doesn't just show up. He shows out. Great hair, by the way. Love this dude. The dude just pops. You see? Look, hold on now. Back him up. This dude is ready. He is hungry. Watch my finger point out. People laugh at me at this. Once again, you're welcome for me pointing out because it is so hard to find these guys on tape. I can't stress that enough. Look at him. He's itching. He's showing blitz. I'm going to show you I'm blitzing. And I'm coming. Look at that ability to just read the lineman. He sees this tackle clear as day has him. He says, you know what? I'm going to go behind my pass rush, find that crease. Boom. Jukes out. This left guard had no shot at him. Gets to the running back quick. Jalen Petrie is that dude. Jalen Petrie very might as well be there in that pick at 49 for Washington. We got pick 49 now, right? Because of pick 47, pick 47 with the trade. But he can very well likely be there in that pick for Washington. I got to just keep rolling the tapes. Jalen Petrie back at the safety spot. You want coverage ability? He's going to break up. He's going to break up passes. Look at that. Petrie is in there. Sorry, Martin. You didn't catch it because Jalen Petrie was in you. Look at this. Coming from that slot spot. Boom! Getting in on the action. Roll that beautiful Petrie footage one more time. You see him here. He says, abandon ship. They are running the ball. He knows before anyone else on his defense that they are running the ball. And he reacts, cuts in, gets in on the action, cleans it up. First guy misses a tackle. Jalen Petrie does not miss tackles. Now, this play I love. It is goal line. Goal line. They are at the inches mark. They are running the ball at will. Jalen Petrie, boom, stuffs it at the line. Watch this again. I had to rewind it on my Mac because it was just too good to be true. Jalen Petrie, get in there, man. Get in there. I love this dude. I'd go to war with Jalen Petrie because I know you can't lose with this guy. Once again, you see him there. He's playing off coverage. Looking at that slot wide receiver. Slot wide receiver does a good job getting to him. Jalen Petrie is going to come out of nowhere and just destroy the quarterback. Shove him out of bounds. I mean, you did see before the play that Jalen Petrie was pretty far out there in coverage by the time the quarterback decides to run, right? Backpedal, waiting. Sees the quarterback roll out. He says, I can get this guy. It just comes out of nowhere and lays him out. Now watch this. Once again, stuffing at the line, man. The dude has effort 100% every single play. This isn't even my favorite play yet. This one. This is the one. And you can't really see it because I have this thing up. It's 21-16. 3rd and goal. This whole goal line sequence was nuts, by the way. Oklahoma State has it 1st and goal at like the 2. Only down 1 touchdown. It's 21-16. They score a touchdown. They win the Big 12 championship. They ran it. I want to say 1st and 2nd down. Didn't get it. And then 3rd down, Jalen Petrie says, put the team on my back. Put the game on my back. Watch this. Reads and reacts. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to show you what happens because you know what happens. Once again, Petrie is here. He knows his assignment. He knows he is the coverage guy. He has this entire area of the end zone where the Baylor Bear is right there, where my finger's pointing in the Bear's mouth. Watch this. React. Boom. Trigger. Get up there, son. Tip the ball. Save the game. That guy said, Mama, I got a touchdown. I'm winning the Big 12 championship. I'm catching the touchdown that wins the game. Petrie says, no, you don't. I'm going to put you on a Petri dish. Boom! Love this guy. I can't stress it enough. Now, this is all the games here. This is just show-off tape. Jalen Petrie, Baylor versus Oklahoma, getting in all the action. Come on, man. He's going to lay the hammer. He has that coverage ability. I want him to get more interceptions. I want him to get more turnovers. That's fine. That people look at stats for, sacks for defensive linemen and how successful they are. If you can alter plays like that, if you can have that kind of hustle and just be in on every play like that, Jalen Petrie in the 2nd round is a very viable option. I'm confident in saying that one of these 4 guys will be with Washington next season. One of them is absolutely going to be. Whether it's in the 1st round with Kyle Hamilton if he falls, or if Washington trades back in the 1st round, goes Daxton Hill, maybe Jaquan Brisker, or in the 2nd round if Brisker falls. But Jalen Petrie is a very likely option in the 2nd round, and I hope so. This is just my prediction. I hope that we go wide receiver in the 1st round, whether it's Chris Olave. I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to be there. I think he goes to Atlanta because their wide receiver room is just terrible now, and he's the clear 1st wide receiver in the draft. I think it's Drake London, Chris Olave at 11. Once again, unless Kyle Hamilton falls, I don't think so. I think it's going to be down to Sauce Gardner, maybe Derek Stingley. I think he could also go to the Jets right before us. So I think wide receiver at 11. And then I think in the 2nd round, you get a guy like Jalen Petrie to solidify that defense. Put a guy like that. He's one of these guys. He is a captain on that defense. Like being able to just point plays out and guide people where they need to be. Jalen Petrie for me is a home run in the 2nd. Once again, love Daxton Hill, love Jaquan Brisker, obviously love Kyle Hamilton. But I said this the other day. I might be taking Jalen Petrie over Daxton Hill. Now, this doesn't mean much, but I saw Daxton Hill get cooked by Jackson Smith and Jigba. Pretty much everyone is, but still, there's a couple of concerns with Daxton Hill, but I liked what I saw with Jalen Petrie. But once again, Daxton Hill is the only guy I feel really comfortable playing single high safety. I don't know if Petrie can do that. I'm not too comfortable putting him back there. Same with Brisker, same with Hamilton. I think they can, but I don't want them to. I don't think that best suits their strengths. So for me, Jalen Petrie in the 2nd round would be a home run pick. I know there's a lot of smoke with Perion Winfrey. We've been talking to him a ton this offseason. Senior Bowl, pro days, formal meetings, top 30 visits, you name it. Perion Winfrey's been there. But this is what I really look at for Washington, big impact wise in the draft. I think it's a lot, like I said, that we get one of these guys because of the defense we're running and what our needs are. Just really think about it. I don't think linebacker is as big of a need as people, really think so. And people saying, well, we got out of our base defense because, we don't have as good as linebackers. Bostic got hurt, kind of forced Jamin Davis to play early and often, which he really didn't. But still, I just think that's the way that our defense is going. I think this is the new base defense around the league. Big nickel, big dime, 6 DBs on the field at a time, whether it's 3 safeties or 3 corners and 2 safeties, and you got a safety in the box. It's what the league is. And it's not just Washington. So don't think it's just a Washington thing. I know you're sick of hearing Buffalo nickel. I see it on Twitter, but this is it. This is one of the most important spots on our defense right now. If Landon Collins doesn't come back, especially as much as you hate him as a player, it doesn't matter. What he did and the role that he filled was huge. It was critical. And oftentimes it was when we were good and played it well, we had big plays like I showed you, but when it was bad, it was rough. I mean, there were some bad plays. You look at the Pat Mahomes throw across his body to Tyreek Hill. You look at the missed Sterling Shepard touchdown against the Giants, and he was wide open. There's just so many things that could go bad in this defense. So I hope you got a lot from it. I might do some quicker breakdown videos of linebackers or defensive line depth. Like I said, there's a couple guys I'm keeping an eye on, whether it's tackle or edge rush help. Maybe corner if we get Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley. But once again, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do a full 7-round mock draft next week on Washington, just giving you my full predictions of what I think is going to happen. Kind of teased it a little bit, kind of gave you away a little bit. But I'm going to get more specific and really just break down these picks and why. So like the video, subscribe. Like I said, keep checking things out. Got a lot of things cooking up, obviously, with all of our draft picks. Going to try to talk to some players, break down our selections. But I'll be at FedEx Field that Thursday night for the first pick of the draft for the first round. Excited to be there. So much that could happen. Last year I was in the draft at Cleveland. Then I'm going to go out to Vegas. Crazy expensive. I just want to check out FedEx Field, be around you guys again. I'm excited once again to be back in this content community, and I appreciate y'all checking it out. And I'll be back with some more videos because the draft is like 10 days away or something like that, which is crazy to think about. This is like Christmas for me. This is the best time of the year is the NFL draft. So hope y'all enjoy it, and I'll see y'all because I will be back with another episode of Taking Command with Josh Taylor.